thank you, Melvin, for taking the time to chat with us at the Christian Beat today, all about your upcoming music and all that exciting.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here today for sure.
Absolutely. So we can start with the title of the project is No Failure.
Yes.
You want to just share a little bit about how that kind of encapsulates the whole project for you and why you felt that was a good title for it?
Yes. Well, there's a song that was written with my church family. We had a writing session trying to, come up with some new music. And one of the songs was No Failure. And so, in thinking about this album, I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to say in this next season of my life. And when I remembered that we had that song, and I was like, I think this will be perfect. And the message of, just there being no failure in God. I believe every song speaks to a moment in somebody's lives in a different way. And it just is a reminder that, with God, we trust him and, just continue to like follow him and, believe in what he's doing in our lives. He never fails. And like he is the greatest power, and with him we'll never be defeated. So I'm grateful that I can really encapsulate this whole album, just really using that message of hope for sure.
Absolutely. And you've not released that title track yet, but you have released others already. So do you want to just share a little bit about God Is and All Right and just why you felt those were two to help kind of start the conversation for the project?
Yes. Well, All Right was definitely, a groove. It was definitely, something that when I heard it, I was just super, super like excited. I was like, this is something that's different for me, but I feel like, if I do my best to like put my own spin on it, I believe that it'll be, a great message to people, and, give people joy, especially, even with God Is. That arrangement was by a dear friend of mine named Bettina Wilson. And I, first heard her do it years ago when I was like a teenager in school. And I just remember the joy I felt and like just the refreshing that I felt when I first heard it. And I think that, being able to redo that and to try to capture that moment, and just to give people joy, to make people want to dance, because, sometimes that's all people really need is just a little joy in their day. Like the Bible says, the joy of the Lord is our strength. So if we find that joy, we'll begin to be revived, and just remember that through all the bad things, through the storms, that, God is our strength and he is our everything. And so I really think that kicking off this album with those two songs are great messages, like I said, to let people know that there's no failure in God, and just to give a little joy to people for sure.
And have you seen that kind of joy come back in some of the listener feedback that you've gotten so far from some of those?
Absolutely. I have been receiving messages and seeing videos of people just dancing, just being happy, and just being reminded of the goodness of God, just in general. And that really, really, just touches me, because you never know what people are going through. Like there's so many different testimonies, so many different situations in this world. So to be able to serve God's people and just to be a light in certain areas for certain people's lives, that is the greatest honor ever.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be your second album.
Yes.
How did you approach creating and kind of pulling this one together, perhaps same or different than you did your debut album?
I would say it's a little different. This is my first live album, so that was a big leap for me. Yeah. So it was very, very nerve-wracking, but it was an amazing process. One that I will never forget. Even though all the anxiety, all the nerves, I would relive it again if I could. Because it was just a special moment. And, from the last album, I was more hands-on. With this album, I was able to really, put me in this album, which I was grateful for. I could not have done it with all of the musicians, the singers, the admins, the songwriters, and the features that are part of this album. I really couldn't do this album without them. So that's really what helped me. I was able to really connect with everybody this time, and we just came together and really did what we had to do for sure.
Or is there anything that's like a personal highlight or a standout for you, kind of looking back at the whole creation process and how this project came together that maybe you noticed in the moment, or perhaps you didn't in the moment, and now looking back, you kind of feel that?
Yeah, I'd say a few things, but I would say one, just the people who were there. Certain people that were there, I would just never expect to be there. And growing up as a kid, like, or just being a kid, this is something that I've dreamed about. Like, I've wanted to do, you know, since since I could remember. And so, doing the recording, I was in the moment trying to make sure I was on my P's and Q's and making sure everything was running smooth. But I really looked around at one moment and I was just like, wow, like God is so faithful. Like, to be able to dream about this and for God to lead me to it, just to know that I was a part of his plan and on his mind with the desires of my heart. And like, it was just special. Like, I could look around and say, wow, like, I can't believe God has me here. I'm just so grateful. That night was absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. No, I'm not
Yeah.
asking for your favorite because I'm sure that would be impossible to answer. But of the tracks that you haven't released yet, is there like a specific track or even a lyric that you're just really looking forward and really anticipating being out there for listeners?
Oh man, there are. That's tough. That's really tough. Um, well, I can't really pinpoint a favorite, but I can say that one of the things that I mentioned at my album I'm sorry, at my recording is that with every album that I do, I want to honor the legacy of my parents. Um, by recreating or reliving their music, because I believe that they were gone too soon. I believe that they were they had so much more to say and to sing and to write, but of course it's all in God's plan, and I believe that I'm here to help carry that. So there's a recreation of one of my dad's songs, Jesus is my help, which is another song that really just pulls people together. So I'm super excited for people to hear that, and just to really witness, the legacy of the Crispells. So I'm excited about that. That's just one. That's just only one. There's a lot more that I'm excited about for sure.
That's fair. And I'm curious, since this was a live album recording, do we have more music videos and content like that to be looking forward to from that night?
Absolutely. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but No Failure will have a music video, the title track, which I'm excited about. It was just a really a moment of like restoring hope to people, and just a moment where we just, let God know who he is, that we understand who he is, and that he understands, and he knows that we trust him, even though he knows all and knows it all. But just to hear from us, like in a new way, just like, Lord, we trust you because we know there's no failure in you. I think that video is going to be very special.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that. And I'm just curious, for you, kind of pulling this all together. How does it feel to do those? How do the songs kind of take a different meaning on for you, kind of doing those live recordings? And the live performance, if you will, because I'm sure getting to see the reaction and just the interaction with people kind of changes sometimes, how you're then interacting with the song. Does that happen, or how's that changed for you?
Yes, you always, kind of look to see how people are reacting, or like, just how if they're really feeling, the moment or the song. But at the end of the day, I try my best to take my mind off of that, and just do my best to minister and relay the message to people. but it is a great thing to see that people, are really like feeling the groove and feeling the lyrics, the music, which we definitely had that night. There was a lot of people that just enjoyed. I feel like there was something for everybody, because everybody is not always into the same style of music. And one of the things that I want to do in my career, for the rest of my career, is just to be able to have music for everybody. I mean, even kids, the elderly, just middle age, like whatever it may be. I want to be able to reach all audiences. So I think that was special to me. That night we were able to capture that for sure.
That's awesome. So I do want to ask kind of like, what's next for you? What are you most looking forward to in the rest of this year? I mean, obviously the album release, I'm sure, is a big piece of that, but there's a lot left to go after that. So just curious.
Yes, absolutely. I am looking forward to traveling, especially once this album comes out.
Mhm.
Being able to just minister and recreate these moments in person at different churches, because there's even people that don't know that this album is coming out and won't know until I'm able to come to their city, to their church,
Right.
which I'm so excited about, because I just really want to be a servant and to just really lift God's people up and like lead them, bring them closer to Christ like every day, because we're living in rough times. Things don't always go the way that we want them to go, but there is hope. God is still in control of it all, and I just really want people to know that. So I'm excited about that, and I'm ready for the next album for sure. I'm already ready. Already ready.
Oh, it's always a cycle. You're always finishing one and
Yes.
going to the next, for sure.
And going to the next. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I know we're coming close to time, so I'm going to have one final question for you.
Okay.
But if you have anything on your heart, I'm just curious if there's any message that you want to leave for, those who will interact with your music and come through with that. What is that message?
Yes, I pray that everyone that hears this album is blessed in a way that you can't imagine. I pray that God speaks to you in a way that you never thought possible, because there's hope for you. It's not the end of your story. God is the author and the finisher of our faith. We are the ink; He is the pen. Let Him do what He does, because He has a plan for our lives. So whatever season that you're in, whatever storm you're going through, just rest in Jesus, because there is no failure in Him. He always finishes what he starts. And so I'm excited for you and everything that is going on in your life, whoever you may be. I pray that you're blessed.
Awesome. I just really want to thank you again, Melvin, for taking the time. I really have gotten to enjoy this chat with you and get to hear more about.
Me too. Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't wait till next time for sure.
Absolutely.